This video is designed for a secondary Cycle 2 history class. It represents the start of our World War I unit, with this particular lesson centered on nationalism within the outbreak of the war. This lecture focuses on multiculturalism within the classroom, which will be incorporated in the lesson through lecture, group research, debate, and the wrap-up, which will consist of a class discussion.
Good morning, class. Today we're going to start our unit on World War I. Now, can anyone name the causes of this war? Yes, Julia?
Militarism, alliances, imperialism, and nationalism.
Very good. So today we're going to be doing a special class focusing just on nationalism. Can anyone define nationalism? Yeah?
I would say it's intense love for your country.
Anyone else?
I would say it's when you're within a nation.
Yeah, those are very good answers. There's a certain sense of patriotism when we're talking about nationalism, and it does involve individuals from a certain nation. So keep these questions and these answers in mind as we go through our next assignment. What I'm going to do is I'll split you guys up into groups and assign you a country that played a role in the outbreak of the First World War. And using books from the library, books that you have for this class, and any notes you have, we're going to research why these countries entered the First World War from a nationalist perspective. After 15 minutes or so, we're going to get into a discussion, debate, where I really want you guys to embody these citizens and get into their perspective, understand their point of view as to why they feel justified in entering the First World War.
Since the point of this assignment is to gain perspective from another's point of view, we would mark them on the effectiveness in which they can take the standpoint of the country that they were assigned, not necessarily their personal point of view. We would want them to understand this perspective as well as feel empathy for these citizens.
Here it says that Germany saw it as a means to end disputes between all European countries and help Germany's foreign relations.
Also, the Kaiser saw it as a way to unite the German public behind the monarchy.
The Germans also weren't ready to fight a long battle. They thought it would be over soon. They didn't want it to last too long.
This is really cool. I've never researched the German perspective on war before.
I know, the Germans are always seen as the bad guys, but we have to take their point of view into consideration as well.
The goal here is to really have the students empowered by the knowledge that they just have acquired. We want them to find this information on their own, which will help them realize that what they have been taught in the past may not necessarily always be right. Instead of history being taught by the winners, we want students to challenge the norms and stereotypes that surround this topic and understand every point of view is a valid one.
So I'm representing France, and one of the main reasons for why we entered the war was to gain back the area of the Alsace-Lorraine, which the Germans took from us during the Franco-Prussian War. There are French people in Alsace-Lorraine, but they are living under German authority. We are one nation that has been ripped apart. All we want is to unify our country.
I have a Serbian nationalist living in Austria-Hungary. We assassinated the Austrian Archduke because we were displeased with the way we were being treated. The Austro-Hungarian Empire, with its imperialistic policy, took over parts of our territory, leaving many Serbs to live within the Austrian Empire. We were a minority whose territory was taken away from us for the purpose of expanding our empire.
We did not expect this war to go on for long. Instead, we hoped it would put a quick end to the pre-existing conflicts, not to create more.
Yeah, but you guys are the reason we went to war. You stole our territory in 1870.
Exactly. Having a country is the most important thing a nation can have. It fosters our sense of identity. You're free to speak your language and make your own policies. You're not oppressed by a foreign power. As you can see, the goal is to get the students to present their specific country's reason, as well as engage in a meaningful exchange. This is meant to allow students to really embody their country's perspective and argue it in an effective manner. The goal is to get students to gain an understanding of another person's perspective. We often speak of nationalism as a cause of war, but what better way to truly understand this concept than to allow oneself to feel as these nations did and defend the values they wanted to defend.
So now that you've had a chance to research and debate this topic, we'll discuss for the last 20 minutes or so about what you've learned. So can anyone tell me if their definition of nationalism has changed in any way?
Well, I've noticed that nationalism is deeply rooted in history, especially during a time of war, when your country and your people are at risk of disappearing or another country is going to invade it. And nationalism is having your history, your language, your culture, all of which represent you and your heritage.
But it's important not to let radical nationalism take over, because then people forget about multiculturalism, which leads to World War II.
That is very true. That's very good. So keeping this in mind, would you consider yourself a nationalist of Canada, or do you identify more with your ethnic background or like your parents' ethnic background?
I would say both. I'm Canadian. I was born here, but my family, or half of my family, is Greek. So I went to Greek school as a kid and really got involved in that part of my history. So I think that it's important and
Yeah, cool. I did not know that. Thank you for sharing. So then would you say that nationalism is alive today, or has it kind of just decreased into the background because of globalization?
I think it is alive today. I think it's more diverse because people share different nationalisms. Like, you can be an Italian Canadian, and therefore you represent both Italy and Canada.
And what factors do you think would cause an entire population to buy into this notion of nationalism like they did in the early 1900s?
I definitely think propaganda has a lot to do with it, and like the fear of somebody else taking over or having like your land attacked or taken away from you.
Yeah, that's true. That was very important back then. Do you think that these factors are still present today?
I do. I think they exist in more homogenous countries, personally.
Okay. So then would you guys say that some countries are more nationalistic than others?
Definitely some are for sure. We live in North America, which has a mosaic of different cultures, but not all countries have such a liberal and open immigration policy as we do.
That is very true. All right, so it seems like we're out of time for today. Good job today, guys, and I'll see you guys on Wednesday. Don't forget to read the next chapter.
All right.
Thank you very much.